YouTube studio family, how's it going? Like I promised you, this is the second part of the Sub 6B unboxing, and this is the installation or setup with the wires and all that stuff like that, and getting the sound and giving my opinions on it, or give you the ability to see what you think of it by, I guess, living through me for the moment. So this first part, I'm going to jump right in because I want you to see how I hook it up and all that stuff like that. And secondly, outside of hooking it up, I said that I was going to deal with the issue of the foot switch. So let's get started on that. First off, this is a full disclosure. When I got it, I unboxed it, and I ended the video yesterday for the unboxing. I kind of wanted to make sure that I didn't get something that was DOA, date on arrival or whatever. So what I did was I did a quick little hookup on it just to basically test the speaker and make sure that it actually turns on and operates. I'll get into it at the end of the video as far as what I think about as far as the matchup between the two, and I'll play something through it. Maybe you'll be able to pick it up with the speakers or with the speakers in the camera. But so I already had in the, let me turn it around here, in the back of the interface, I already have the cabling set up for the twin Bs on both sides. Those are Mogami cables that I have in there, but the wire, one of the cables coming from the interface that's going to go to the sub is a generic cord, which is this one, the silver. I don't know if you can see it. The silver, it's a generic cord, and I want all of them to be Mogami cables. So, like I said, I got the packages came in yesterday, so I got some Mogami cables, and I went and got the 6-foot Mogami cable, gold, that's going to replace that cheap silver one there, and we'll be good with that. So that's what I'm going to have to do first, then hook up everything else. And I got some 10-foot, XLR, male to female, because I didn't know that I had Mogami cables. So in the last video, when I ended that video, I started looking around and I found 2 of these. So you never can have enough cables, so that's what it is. And they retail, I mean, they're not cheap. They retail for about, from what I understand, they retail, I think I paid like 40 something for a 10-foot. But the good thing about Mogami cables that are unlike, the cheaper cables, is Mogami uses 4 wires. And the technology of the 4 wires is noise canceling. Like the other ones will just have like 3, the positive, negative, or the pens, the positive, negative pen. And the third one is supposed to be like, I guess, for the noise canceling one, but they use 4 for better performance. So, all right. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the new cable in the interface. Then we're gonna route it and we're gonna set up the sub. So let me put this stuff up for a second. I'm gonna move this chair because I'm pretty much gonna be standing up most of the time. And I put the sub on. This this stand, and I didn't think it was gonna hold it. I was surprised, but for the sake of this demonstration, it worked out pretty good. So that's cool. So I'm gonna open up this six footer, which is going to be the TRS to male, because on the rear of the sub, the input is female, so male to female. I mean, I'm doing this. A lot of you already know this stuff, but I'm sure there's probably somebody, you know, in the future going to watch it and want to know what is what, or what is a female to male and all the stuff like that. So it's, you know, just bear with me if you already know this stuff. This is just for the ones who, you know, don't know. Okay. So while I'm doing this, I guess I'd like to let you guys know, you know, a little bit about, you know, why I got into like studio equipment and recording and engineering and things like that. I went to school, went to college for electrical engineering when I was younger, and while I was in engineering in college here in Maryland, I wound up going into the military. So at this time, electrical engineering was like a 5-year major. Well, it took like 5 years for you to graduate. So in like my 4th year, I was active in the military. So one thing about the military is once you're in there, you kind of find other interesting stuff that, you know, that you get into. So needless to say, when I got back home, you know, engineering wasn't my thing. So it's just life, you know, things change in your life or whatever, but I always have been drawn to music. You know, that's one thing that's always been constant with me is music, you know, and recording and things like that. While I'm doing this, something else that I have always done with music is I used to be a DJ, and I DJ for a good amount of years, like since the age of I think like 14. You know, I was doing house parties and things like that. You know, make a little money, and yeah, I mean it was pretty cool. I loved it. I loved DJing. You know, that was exhilarating. You know, making people, you know, having people. Excuse me for turning my back to. You know, having people enjoy what you do. I just gotta find the output, which I do this every time. I never see what the output is right offhand. Give me a second, I'll find it. Okay, I think that's it right there, because I think this is the Mogami. Yeah, this is the Mogami. Alright, so I'm going to put the TRS in the back and run that around. Okay. And the cheaper cables, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them generally, but the cheaper cables aren't gold plated. Aren't gold plated. And another thing about the cheaper cables with the Mogamis, they have the snap tab on top of them, so that it's a more secure locking on the back of whatever you're connecting to. Um, okay, so we got that in there. So let's get to hooking up the sub. So I'm gonna turn this around so that you can see. And maybe I'll zoom in here. Bear with me a second. I'm gonna try to zoom in here. Okay. So what's gonna happen? And I think you guys can see that they have now, I don't know how clear this is, they have two switches on the back of their subs now. The one is a defeat switch and the high pass switch. And what I found out is the defeat switch, when you don't want to use the high pass, which sends 75 hertz and above to your main monitors, to the twins, or you could switch it to 100 hertz and above to the twins. So I set it to 75 because I don't want to be able to localize, or I don't want to be able to localize or be able to perceive the sub. When the higher in frequency you go, the higher the frequency that you accept with the for the sub to reproduce, the more your ears will be able to localize where it is in the room. Like if you're sitting in the middle and it's to your left, you can hear it because there's certain frequencies that are more directional. The lower the cycles or frequency, the less you'll be able to localize what you're hearing, which is one of the reasons why when you hear like 30 and below and the frequency, it sounds like it's just everywhere. It just envelops you. It's like when you're in your car. So I have that set at 75, so it'll send everything 75 and up to the twins, and everything 75 below will stay here. So let's start hooking this thing up. So I'm gonna do the right in, and the right out. I hope the cord is long enough that I don't have to do any more movement. Okay, so I marked the cables so I know, because they look exactly the same with some tape. So I put 2 pieces of tape, which actually tells me that's the right end. So I'm just going to snap that in. This is coming from the interface in the here. And then I got the Mogami cable right out going to the right speaker. And like I said, the tab, see that little tab right there? That's a lot more secure connection. And you'll hear the snap. Right? And it's real secure. It won't come out. So we're gonna do the left one. I just gotta make sure I run this cable around because I don't wanna So this is the out. So I'm gonna make sure that I snap this in from the left out. Okay. So I'm gonna run this cable here around. I hope it's long enough. It should be long enough. 6 feet. It should be long enough. Jeez, it's just making it. So the other cord might be a little longer. Woo! This is something. This is pushing it. Is it pushing it, fam? I might have to go buy another cord. So I'm gonna push this back because this is a 6-footer, so the one I have must be a 10-footer. You kind of want your wires, if at all possible, to be the exact same length. I'm sure you guys already know that, but sound travels instantaneous, so you know it is what it is. But Jesus, I don't know how I made that mistake. I should have checked before I even did it, but we're doing the setup, so it's cool. So this is going in the in from the interface, right? So we got that in here. We got the ins and we got the outs going to the focal speakers, right? So only thing left really to do now is the power cord, to put the power cord in there. But before I do that, I wanted to let you know that at the top, and it's kind of a whitewash in here. I don't know if it's a whitewash or it's me, but at the top you got low pass, level, phase, and then you have your polarity. Your polarity is where your speaker's normal or inverted. I'm assuming you know. I'm just going to say it anyway for the people who don't know what it is. When it's normal, that means that as your satellite monitors or the twins, the woofer is going out, the sub will go out. They'll be in phase. They'll be in phase or polarity. No, actually, that's the phase. So I think I need to correct myself on that. Yeah, it's the polarity. Yeah, it's the polarity. Normal, inverted, and then you can do the degree of the phase. Okay, so yeah, it'll move together. If you want it to be inverted, it will be the opposite. So when when your satellite speakers are going out, it will be going in. So there'll be like a push-pull. And a lot of times when that happens, if it's out of phase, it'll start canceling. It'll be like a weird phasing issue. But yeah, that's basically it. So I gotta fix something, by the way. So this is the in. I plugged it into the LFE, the low frequency input, and I was going to talk about that too. But let me plug this in real quick. Alright, so we got in, out, in, out. And the last one over here, the last XLR input is the LFE that Focal has. What I believe, what I read, it's like a daisy chaining. Like you can daisy chain another sub to this one. So you can go out from another sub directly into this one. So you don't have to like patch right out of another interface or whatever the case may be. So that's what the LFE input, meaning the sub frequency is going to go straight into that. There's no high frequencies going into that. All right, so let's go ahead and we have to do the bypass, and I'm going to do the bypass. Matter of fact, let me show you that. The latching. What I did was I bought this, if you can see it, the Hosa latching foot switch that's supposed to put this sub in play or take it out by clicking a switch. Now you asking why I got two of them. I got two of them because initially I wasn't sure, like, okay, if I got two, would it be better? Because what the packaging says, if you have, with the two buttons, you have to use a TRS cable. If you just got the one button, which would have been half of this, it'll need a TS cable, which means it doesn't need a tip ring sleeve. It just need a tip and sleeve. So I got this, and I'm sure it's going to work the same. More like, I think what it is whether you push this one or this one, they'll both do the same thing. So I tend to always go up one, which is probably not always the best thing to do, but I did. So I'll hook this up after I get this on the floor, and we do the sound test and all the stuff like that. So let me put this up here. So this is going to be a little tricky. So I'm going to push this back. And when I say it's going to be a little tricky, I don't want that cord is short. Like, that cord is short. And I should have known better before I bought it to make sure that the other cord was the same in length. But I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to buy a 10-footer to take care of that issue. So, yeah. Alright, fam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up and then kick this out of the way. And sit it on the floor so we can plug her up. Okay. Push these cords back. Now, I'm going to plug up from the back, and I'm going to tell you why I'm putting it right here, you know, without even doing what I told you need to do. Give me a sec. It's because like I said earlier, I plugged it up. I plugged it up to make sure that it wasn't DOA or dead on arrival. So I did that, and while I had it plugged up, I hooked it up to make sure that it worked. So I figured, you know, even though I'm doing a video of the setup and all the stuff like that, when you set up a woofer, especially if you're in a studio space or whatever case may be, you don't just want to plop it somewhere just because it's convenient or whatever. So what I did is I set the speaker. Let me push this back so you can see the woofer as I'm talking. So what I did is I set the speaker in the middle where I would sit at. Where I would sit literally in the middle in front of the desk, right? Where I would be sitting literally in front of the desk. And I'm going to put it exactly where I had it so you'll see what I mean. If this is my listening position, right? Right here. If this is my listening position, I had the sub in this position without the seat here, right? Without the seat here, in this position, facing that direction. So it was firing this way from my listening position. And what I did after the end of the last video, I got on my knees like you're supposed to do, and I crawled around the room as much as I could because it's like stuff everywhere. I crawled around the room and I listened. And I turned the bass up and I listened for where it sounded the best. Surprisingly, it's amazing. I mean, I don't know who came up with that theory to do that. Surprisingly, I thought the corners were going to have that build up where that bass was going to be at. So I did, you know, the left corner, the right corner, and I came around and I went up here by the twins, and I listened by the twins. And I was like, that's weird. But every time I would pass the midpoint of the room, which is where this sound absorber is on this side, where this sound absorber is on the side represents, you know, the middle is here. But I'm here along this line, along with this side over here. And it was clearer and richer right here. The bass was fully formed right here in its listening position. So it required that well, let me say this here. It was richer along this line, right? It was richer along this line. So you're supposed to put the speaker in the place where it sounds better. So it was along this line. Now, technically, it needed for the woofer to be there, literally in front of that absorber facing that way. And the problem with that is, like, it's impractical. Like, you need to put the sub within reason, in the room to get the best sound. So the second alternative was to back it up, a foot, so it's out the way, right? So, give me a second. To back it up a foot where it's out the way, and I did the crawl around again. So the sound, when I put it here and I crawled around or whatever, it was that same law, everywhere, but it still sounded good here. And funny enough, just that few inches of moving it from here in this position to literally 8 to 12 inches back, you can hear the richness change. It's still really good, but it was almost as if a dB or two was lost, in output, just by making that small adjustment. So that floor crawl around thing is actually pretty good. Okay, so I'm getting going over. So the sub is there, it's hooked up. So now what I gotta do is turn on the twins, because we're gonna do a sound test. So what I need to do is I need to turn on the twins. And the only thing I would say about having the twins is, and I don't know if I would even want it anyway, but the only thing about having the twins is that I have to go behind it and flip the switch. Now I'm sure there's something I could do, like create like a switch where it'll send power to it, or maybe even a surge protector, maybe, but I don't want to degrade the sound quality by plugging into something else, just to be able to have that flexibility. So I just deal with it. And the first thing I did when I switched to Mogamis is I did a listening test. I will listen to the speaker to see if I hear like a hiss or extended amount of hiss. So in the mid and highs, it's not audible. Like if I'm sitting in a listening position, you can't hear any hiss or anything. You would actually have to put your ear all the way to the speaker to hear just the most minute amount of hiss from the speaker. But you won't hear anything if you're sitting quietly in the room. You won't hear nothing. But with the sub, I don't hear nothing, no hiss or nothing, because of course, the hiss is a higher frequency. So we got the sub hooked up. We have the twins hooked up. So now what we have to do is turn on the interface and see if we have some sound. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a sound. We're gonna do a sound check, and then we had 29 minutes. We're gonna do a sound check, and then I'm gonna hook up the hoser. It might split into videos because usually if you go with 30-something minutes, it'll do that. So let's just see. Let's just see where we at right now. I don't know if you can hear it because I actually got the speaker. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna take it out my hand. I'm gonna flip it around so that you can see what what's going to be going on. Give me a second, fam. Okay, I actually can't flip it, which is the craziest thing in the world, but okay. So I'll just walk it over to it once I get sound going. Okay. So okay, we got sound. Let's see what we got.
Vivos.
Yeah, it's there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and put the light down there so you'll be able to see the Wolfer's Excursion.
Vivos.
Of course, it's taking a long time to get to that point. All right, fam. So, what I noticed, and you may have noticed if you're using your if you're listening to this through, your studio stuff or your studio speakers or whatever, is you heard a little bit of a rattle. That rattle is not coming. That rattle is not coming from the speaker. Basically, my floor is at an angle. So if I touch the focals, it teeters. It's teetering. So like I told you, I'm gonna do a video because I bought some. Let me show you them real quick. I bought some isoacoustic pucks. Right? Is that upside down? I think it's upside down. Some isoacoustic pucks by Isoacoustics, and they're supposed to decouple the speakers from the floor. So that'll be on the next video. Oh, and it's I got the pads for the twins as well, right? These here. So we're going to test these out too. The Prime Acoustics that you put on the speaker stand. They're supposed to be pretty good. It's really, really heavy. I think they're like 6 pounds. The pads for the Twin Bs, they're going to speaker stand. So that'll be in another video as well. So like I said, it's straightforward. It's pretty straightforward hooking a sub, but I'm gonna in the beginning of the next video, before I put the ISO pucks on a speaker, I'm gonna give you my impressions because my impressions are emphatically impressive. I've been doing this for a while, and I can just say this for in this video. If you have Focal, you have the Solo 6 or the B Twins. I was saying in the previous video, you don't have to get it, but I did. I'm telling you, you got to get the sub. There is so much information down there, and not even for you to be doing it at a high level or playing your music loud. Vocals are so sensitive, and somebody asked me for about another type of speaker, that I actually like. But the vocals are so sensitive that even at the lowest level that I put the interface on, like usually you lose detail when you have real low, literally at nearly conversation level, low conversation level. Vocal twins are so responsive and they're so sensitive, and I don't know if it has something to do. Maybe it's a pairing of the lightness of the woofers, even the sub. The sub is so quick, it's so reactive. I was listening for because I have vocals in my car, like I said, with the subs and all. They don't compare to these Pro Series vocals. Like it's incredible. This sub is so reactive. It reacts like it's it reacts like it's a 6-inch, and I would touch it at the same time as touch the 6.5 to see if they're reacting the same, and it's immediate. It's amazing. It's amazing. But we'll talk about that next video. I hope you enjoyed the setup of the sub, and we'll do more tests and stuff like that on the next video. But when I tell you, outside of buying the twins, the twin Bs, this was the best. This is the best thing that I've bought. I have a lot of different equipment. This was the smartest thing that I've bought, and I'm glad I bought that before I bought the Crane Song Avasat, which is the control monitoring, speaker monitoring system. I'm so glad I did it because it just opened a whole different space. So, till next time, YouTube studio people. Oh, like and subscribe. If the video's too long, just let me know. Like a lot of times when I watch videos, I want people to expand on a lot of things, so that's why I'm doing it. But if it's too long, let me know, and I'll shorten them, get right to the point, and be out. All right, fam.